Welcome back to Gambling Flow, your daily dose of all things gambling. I'm Russell Kane. And today, we're diving deep into the world of professional poker. Trying to figure out what it really takes to turn this passion into a paycheck. To guide us through this high-stakes world, we have expert Fiona Blake with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's be honest, the image of a poker pro is pretty glamorous, right? Raking in chips under those bright lights, maybe even snagging a championship bracelet.
Yeah, it's a tempting image for sure.
But what's the reality behind that dream? Is it all sunshine and champagne?
Well, there's definitely skill and strategy involved, but let's ditch the champagne image for now. It takes an immense amount of dedication, and it's less about those big flashy tournaments and more about consistent effort. Think of it like any other profession, really. You need to hone your craft, whether it's in online casinos, live dealer games, or wherever you find the action.
So you're saying it's more of a grind than a glamorous lifestyle? But can the average person even achieve this dream? Or are we talking about like a select few with some superhuman poker gene?
It's more attainable than most people think, but it does require a certain mindset, a strategic approach. It's not about luck. It's about treating poker like a business.
Okay, I like that, treating it like a business. So let's break down this path to becoming a poker pro. What's the first move for someone who's serious about making this their career?
Before you even think about your first hand, you need to pick your game. And I mean, really focus on it, become a specialist. Most pros, they gravitate towards Texas. Hold'em. But you can find success in Omaha or another variation that clicks with you. The key is to master one game inside and out.
So forget being a jack of all trades, huh?
Exactly. You wouldn't see a pro athlete trying to excel in every sport at once.
Makes sense. So you got to focus that energy, become an expert in your chosen game. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. You mentioned mastering a game. What does that actually involve? Is it just about memorizing rules and hand rankings?
Knowing the rules, that's just the starting line. You need to go deeper, really understand the strategic intricacies.
Learn it from every angle.
Exactly. Think of it as a multi-layered process. It involves understanding the math behind poker, mastering the mental game, and constantly analyzing your own play to find those weaknesses. And of course, consistent practice is key.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, or at least gets you closer. I think real people picture those televised tournaments when they think about pro poker. Are you saying those aren't the be-all and end-all?
Those tournaments, they're exciting for sure, but they're just one piece of the puzzle. Consistent practice, no matter the format, that's how you build the foundation of a pro career. And you'll need to invest time and money to improve your skills, both the hard skills like strategy and the softer skills, which we'll discuss later.
Soft skills. Intriguing. This might sound daunting to someone just starting out. Is there a real-life example you can share that illustrates this journey to pro status?
Absolutely. Even my own path to becoming a pro, it wasn't a straight line. Early on, I was all over the place. I'd play a few tournaments, try some cash games, but I wasn't treating poker like a serious profession. I loved the thrill of winning, but I lacked focus.
So what changed? What was the turning point for you?
I had this chance encounter with a professional poker player during a live tournament. We were just chatting, and he casually mentioned concepts like ranges, poker math, ICM, things I barely even knew existed at that point.
Sounds like a light bulb moment.
It was a complete game changer. It opened my eyes to this whole new world within poker. I realized how much depth there was to the game, how much I still had to learn.
So what did you do with that newfound knowledge?
I dove headfirst into studying. I joined a group of pro players, and we started traveling the poker circuit, playing in both live cash games and tournaments. We went to the WSOP in Vegas, hit some European poker tour stops. It was a whirlwind of poker immersion.
Wow, what an incredible experience. But how did you translate that experience into becoming a true pro?
Meeting that pro at the tournament, that was the spark. But I knew I needed more structured learning, so I started getting coaching from one of the best players in the country. We worked on everything, refining my strategies, improving my concentration, controlling my emotions, especially while bluffing. Mastering those mental aspects of the game, that was just as important as the technical skills.
I can imagine that coaching must have been invaluable.
It was eye-opening, for sure. That made me realize how many areas of my game still needed work. After a year of traveling and playing in casinos, I decided to transition to online play. It was a better fit for my lifestyle, gave me more flexibility.
So you went from casual games to the poker circuit and finally settled into online play. That's quite a journey. But it seems like that initial focus on choosing your path was key.
Exactly. And that's what I'd advise anyone who wants to turn pro to do as well. Don't spread yourself thin across different formats. Pick one, whether it's tournaments, cash games, or something else entirely, and commit to it fully.
So how should someone decide which path is right for them? Is it just about what they enjoy playing the most?
It's more than just preference. You have to consider your personality, your lifestyle, your goals. Someone who thrives under pressure, loves that tournament format, they might not have the patience for the daily grind of cash games.
So you're saying someone who loves the adrenaline rush of tournaments, they might not be suited for the slower, more strategic approach of cash games.
Right. Tournaments, they require a different set of skills. You need to handle swings, endure those marathon sessions, and understand the nuances of tournament dynamics, things like ICM.
You've mentioned ICM a couple of times now. For those who are unfamiliar, what exactly is it?
ICM stands for Independent Chip Model. It's a way of calculating your equity in a tournament, considering the chip counts of all players and the tournament's payout structure. It's crucial for making smart decisions, especially in those later stages of tournaments.
That sounds pretty complex.
It can be, but there are plenty of resources out there to help you grasp it. Trust me, understanding ICM can have a huge impact on your tournament results.
Okay, so let's say we've chosen our poker path. What's the next step on this road to pro?
It's time to face the math. Poker is more than just luck. It's a game of probabilities and calculated risks.
I think some people might be surprised to hear that.
They shouldn't be. Understanding the math is fundamental to making profitable decisions in poker.
So break it down for us. What kind of math are we talking about here?
You need to learn the odds of hitting certain hands, how to compare those odds to the pot odds you're getting, and the concept of implied odds, which is the potential extra value you could win if you hit your hand.
Okay, you've lost me at implied odds. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course. Imagine you have a flush draw, and you suspect your opponent might have a strong hand, like top pair. If you hit your flush on the river, you could potentially win a huge pot, even if the immediate pot odds don't justify calling a bet on the turn.
So it's about considering the long-term potential of your hand, not just the current
Yeah.
situation.
Exactly. But it's not just about crunching numbers in isolation. You also need to develop the ability to put your opponent on a range of hands, not just a single hand.
Now we're talking mind games.
You could say that. It's about observing their tendencies, understanding their betting patterns, and using that information to narrow down the possible hands they could be holding.
That sounds like it takes a lot of practice and observation.
It does, but mastering that skill, it's crucial for any aspiring pro. Reading your opponents is just as important as understanding the math.
All right, so we've picked our game. We're starting to grasp the math behind poker. We're even learning to read our opponents' minds. What's the next step in our poker education?
It's time to invest in yourself. While free resources can be helpful, especially for learning the basics, serious improvement often comes from structured learning.
What kind of structured learning are we talking about?
Think of it like any other profession. You need training to get better. This could mean hiring a coach or joining a reputable training site. These resources, they provide personalized guidance tailored to your needs and goals.
So it's like having a personal trainer for your poker game.
Exactly. They can help you identify leaks in your strategy, refine your decision-making, and really accelerate your learning curve.
But what about those free resources you mentioned? Are they worth exploring at all?
Absolutely. They can be a great starting point, especially for learning those fundamentals. You can find tons of articles, videos, forums online that offer valuable information.
Any recommendations for where to start?
I'd suggest looking for reputable poker websites and forums, ones that have a strong community and focus on strategy. Steer clear of any sites promoting quick wins or shady tactics. Poker is a game of skill, not shortcuts.
Solid advice. So we're investing in our education, we're diligently studying the game. What else can we do to ensure we're continuously improving?
This might sound simple, but it's vital. Never stop learning. The poker world is constantly evolving. New strategies and approaches are always emerging.
So how do we stay ahead of the curve?
Embrace tools like solvers, trackers, and note-taking. Solvers, those are software programs that analyze different poker scenarios and help you find optimal strategies.
So like having a supercomputer as your poker buddy.
In a way, yes. Solvers help you understand the theoretical side of poker, analyze different situations in a way that'd be impossible on your own.
And what about those trackers you mentioned? What role do they play?
Trackers, they're programs that record your hand histories. This allows you to analyze your own play, identify patterns, and see where you might be making mistakes.
So it's like having a personal poker statistician crunching the numbers for you.
Precisely. And don't underestimate the power of taking good notes while you play. Jot down observations about your opponent's tendencies or betting patterns, anything that might give you an edge later on.
It's like building a poker dossier on your opponents.
Exactly. The more information you have, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions at the table.
All of this sounds incredibly detailed and strategic. It seems like becoming a professional poker player requires a serious level of commitment.
It does. To succeed in this field, you need a deep understanding of the game, a willingness to constantly learn, and the discipline to continuously analyze and refine your approach.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the initial steps to becoming a pro, from picking a game to understanding the math behind poker, and even diving into the importance of continuous learning. But there's still so much more to uncover.
Absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface.
Be sure to join us for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore the mental game of poker, financial management, and the pros and cons of this exciting career path.
We'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the world of professional poker.
Until then, good luck at the tables.
Welcome back to Gambling Flow. It's great to be back with you for part 2 of our deep dive into becoming a professional poker player.
It's getting intense, Fiona. In part 1, we laid the groundwork. Picking a game, understanding the math, the mental game. Now, I want to know the secrets to actually winning.
All right, let's get tactical. First, you need to analyze your game relentlessly. Use those trackers we talked about. Review your hand histories, and pinpoint any leaks or patterns in your play.
Leaks, like spilling chips all over the virtual felt.
Not quite, but close. Leaks are weaknesses in your strategy. Maybe you're too predictable in certain situations, or you're overplaying certain hands.
So it's about identifying those bad habits and fixing them.
Exactly. And don't just focus on your own play. Observe your opponents like a hawk. Take detailed notes on their tendencies, betting patterns, anything that might give you an edge.
It's like building a poker profile for each opponent.
Precisely. The more information you have, the better you'll be able to exploit their weaknesses and maximize your winnings.
Sounds a bit like detective work.
It is, in a way. You're gathering evidence, looking for clues that will help you crack the case, or in this case, win the pot.
Now, let's talk about bankroll management. In part 1, we touched on the importance of having a separate bankroll. But how do we actually manage those funds effectively?
It's all about discipline and sticking to a plan. First, determine the stakes you're comfortable playing at. Don't jump into games that are too high for your bankroll. Remember, variance can be brutal.
So no trying to play with the high rollers before we're ready.
Exactly. Start small and gradually move up as your bankroll grows. And be prepared to move down in stakes if you hit a rough patch. It's better to swallow your pride than to risk going broke.
That makes sense. It's like starting with the bunny slopes before tackling the black diamond runs.
Perfect analogy. And don't forget to track your wins and losses meticulously. This will help you identify patterns in your play and adjust your strategy accordingly.
It's not just about playing, it's about analyzing those results.
Absolutely. Poker is a game of continuous learning and refinement.
Okay, we've talked about managing our bankroll, analyzing our play. But what about those inevitable ups and downs? How do we navigate the emotional roller coaster of professional poker?
That's where mental fortitude comes in. Poker is a game that will test your patience, your discipline, and your emotional resilience.
So it's not just about the cards. It's about mastering our own minds.
Precisely. You need to develop coping mechanisms for dealing with losing streaks, bad beats, and the general stress that comes with playing for a living.
Any tips for staying mentally strong?
Absolutely. First, accept that variance is a part of the game. Even the best players will experience downswings. Don't let those losses define you or shake your confidence.
Easier said than done, right?
It can be. But remember, it's a long game. Focus on the process, not the short-term results.
So it's about staying focused on the big picture.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to take breaks when you need them. Step away from the table, clear your head, and come back refreshed.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Precisely. And find healthy ways to manage stress. Exercise, meditation, spending time with loved ones. These are all important for maintaining a balanced lifestyle.
So it's not just about the grind, it's about taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. You can't perform at your best if you're burnt out or stressed.
Great advice, Fiona. Now let's talk about the social aspects of professional poker. It can be a solitary pursuit, right?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. There's a vibrant poker community out there, both online and offline.
So how do we connect with other players?
Join poker forums, attend live events, and even consider finding a poker buddy or mentor. Having a support system can make all the difference.
It's like having a poker squad to share the journey with.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the value of learning from more experienced players. They can offer invaluable insights and guidance.
So don't be afraid to ask for advice.
Absolutely. Most poker players are happy to share their knowledge.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this part. We've talked about analyzing our play, managing our bankroll, staying mentally strong, and connecting with the poker community. What's next on our journey to Pro-Dom?
It's time to refine our strategies and develop a deeper understanding of the game.
Sounds like we're leveling up.
We are. It's time to go beyond the basics and delve into the nuances of different poker variations.
So if we've chosen Texas, Hold'em, for example, what specific strategies should we focus on?
Oh, there are countless strategies and concepts to explore. We could talk about pre-flop ranges, post-flop play, bet sizing, bluffing, reading opponents, and so much more.
Sounds overwhelming.
It can be. But the key is to break it down into manageable chunks and focus on one area at a time.
So maybe start with pre-flop strategy and then move on to post-flop play.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment with different approaches. Find what works best for you and your playing style.
So it's not about following a rigid set of rules. It's about adapting and evolving.
Precisely. Poker is a dynamic game, and the best players are constantly refining their strategies.
Okay, we're refining our strategies, we're expanding our knowledge. What else can we do to elevate our game to a professional level?
It's time to embrace the power of technology.
Technology.
Yes, there are countless tools and resources available to help us analyze our play, study opponents, and improve our overall game.
Like what?
We've already mentioned trackers, but there are also solvers, equity calculators, hand replayers, even artificial intelligence programs that can simulate poker hands and offer strategic insights.
It's like having a whole team of poker experts at our fingertips.
It is, in a way. These tools can provide us with data and analysis that would have been impossible to obtain just a few years ago.
Sounds like we're entering the era of the cyborg poker player.
Not quite, but technology is definitely playing an increasingly important role in professional poker.
Okay, so we're using technology to our advantage, we're constantly refining our strategies, and we're staying mentally strong. What's the final piece of the puzzle when it comes to becoming a professional poker player?
It's about building a sustainable career and navigating the unique challenges of this profession.
So it's not just about winning at the table. It's about building a successful business.
Exactly. Professional poker is more than just a game. It's a career that requires careful planning and execution.
What are some key considerations for building a sustainable poker career?
First, you need to diversify your income streams. Don't rely solely on tournament winnings or cash game profits.
So explore other avenues, like coaching, writing, or even streaming.
Exactly. These can provide a steadier income and help you weather the inevitable swings in your poker results.
Makes sense. It's like having a backup plan in case your main gig hits a rough patch.
Precisely. And don't forget about taxes. Professional poker players are responsible for reporting their income and paying taxes like any other business.
That's a crucial point that many people overlook.
It is. Consult with a tax professional to ensure you're in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations.
Okay, taxes are covered. What else should we keep in mind as we build our poker careers?
It's important to protect your mental and physical health. The poker lifestyle can be demanding and stressful, so prioritize self-care.
So get enough sleep, eat healthy, exercise regularly.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to take breaks when you need them. Burnout is a real risk in this profession, so listen to your body and mind.
Solid advice. It's like the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And finally, remember that professional poker is a journey, not a destination.
So it's about embracing the process and enjoying the ride.
Absolutely. There will be ups and downs. But as long as you're passionate about the game and committed to continuous improvement, you'll be on the right path.
Fantastic insights, Fiona. We've covered a lot of ground in part 2 of our deep dive into becoming a professional poker player.
We have. We've talked about refining strategies, using technology, building a sustainable career, and taking care of ourselves.
Be sure to join us for part 3, where we'll wrap up our discussion and offer some final thoughts on the exciting world of professional poker.
We'll delve into the future of the game, the evolving landscape of online poker, and offer some parting advice for aspiring pros.
Until then, keep those cards flying. And remember, the journey to becoming a professional poker player is a marathon, not a sprint.
We'll see you in part 3.
Welcome back to Gambling Flow for the final chapter of our deep dive into the world of professional poker.
It's been quite the journey, hasn't it? We've explored everything from the basics to those finer points of strategy and mental toughness.
We have. It's been fascinating. We've armed you with the knowledge to navigate this poker world. But now I want to look ahead. What does the future hold for professional poker, especially with online poker becoming so popular?
Well, the landscape is constantly changing, that's for sure. And online poker is definitely a driving force in that evolution. It's become incredibly accessible with platforms and tournaments catering to every skill level and bankroll.
So is online poker the new Wild West for aspiring pros?
It's certainly a major player. It offers convenience and opportunities you won't find in a traditional casino. You can play from anywhere, anytime. And even multi-table, which can accelerate your learning and potentially your
So
earnings.
it's like multitasking for poker pros, grinding multiple tables at once.
Exactly. And there's another advantage. Online poker often has lower rake and fees compared to live poker. That means more of your winnings stay in your pocket.
For those who are new to this, can you quickly explain what rake is?
Sure. Rake is basically a small percentage of each pot that the poker platform takes as their fee for hosting the game, like a commission. And since online platforms have lower overhead costs, they can often offer more favorable rake structures.
That makes sense. But what about the social aspect we discussed earlier? Isn't that lost in the online world?
Well, it's true that building connections is important in poker, but that doesn't disappear online. There's a vibrant online poker community out there, thriving on forums, communities, coaching groups. You could interact with players, share strategies, get support, just like you would in a live setting.
So it's like a virtual poker club where players can connect and learn from each other.
Precisely. And some online platforms even have features that allow you to chat with opponents during the game. It's not quite the same as face-to-face interaction, but it does add a social element to the online experience.
So online poker definitely has its perks. Beyond its growth, what other trends are shaping the future of professional poker?
Technology is playing a bigger role than ever before, and it's becoming more sophisticated. We've already talked about solvers and trackers, but now artificial intelligence is starting to make its mark.
Are we talking about a future where AI poker bots dominate the game?
Not necessarily. While AI can be a powerful tool for analysis and strategy development, it's unlikely to replace human intuition and creativity anytime soon.
I bet a lot of players are relieved to hear that.
They should be. Poker is a game of human interaction. That's what makes it so captivating. It's about reading your opponents, understanding their tendencies, and making decisions based on imperfect information. AI can assist in those areas, but it's not going to replace the human element of the game.
Well, we've explored the exciting future that lies ahead for poker. But before we wrap things up, I want to give our listeners some parting advice. Fiona, what are your final words of wisdom for those dreaming of becoming poker pros?
My advice is simple but crucial. First and foremost, make sure you're truly passionate about the game. If you don't genuinely love poker, the inevitable grind will wear you down.
So don't chase the money, chase the thrill of the game itself.
Exactly. And be prepared to work hard. Professional poker is not a hobby. It's a demanding profession that requires dedication, discipline, and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge.
It's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Absolutely not. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to constantly learn and adapt. And never be afraid to seek guidance. Find a mentor, join a coaching group, or dive deep into poker books and resources.
Surround yourself with those who can help you elevate your game.
Precisely. And most importantly, never stop learning. The poker world is constantly evolving, so stay curious, stay adaptable, and always strive to improve your game.
It's a journey of continuous self-improvement, not just about winning every hand.
Exactly. And remember, true success in poker isn't solely measured by your bankroll. It's about pushing your limits, challenging yourself, and striving to become the best player you can be.
Those are inspiring words, Fiona. I feel like we've equipped our listeners with the knowledge and mindset to embark on their own poker adventures.
I hope so. It's been a pleasure sharing my insights and experiences with you and the listeners.
The pleasure has been all mine. And with that, we've reached the end of our epic deep dive into becoming a professional poker player. We've explored the mental game, the financial strategies, the evolving landscape of the game, and everything in between.
We've certainly dealt a winning hand of information.
Absolutely. And now it's time for our listeners to shuffle up and deal. Remember, the path to mastery in poker is paved with continuous learning, practice, and a dedication to refining your skills.
So go out there, chase your poker dreams, and remember,
We'll see you at the tables.
thank you for joining us on Gambling Flow. I'm Fiona Blake.
And I'm Russell Kane. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with anyone who's ever dreamed of becoming a poker pro. We'll catch you next time on Gambling Flow.